guys, it's Jessica from Peace Love Books, and today I'm here with a new recommendation video for you of romances where we weren't supposed to fall in love. My friend Lisa from Remarkably Lisa is the one who did this first, so check out her video, I'll link it down below. Now, these romances are where the hero and heroine sometimes are forced together to do something and then they end up falling for each other, but they didn't mean to. They didn't have like romance on their mind. Other ones are where they are trying to work together to get one of them to get with someone else and then they fall for each other. That is one of my favorite tropes. I feel like I don't read it enough in the adult romance category, and so if you have recommendations for where they are teaming up together because they're gonna help each other get someone to date them and then they fall for each other in the process, that is just an amazing trope that I need more of. So leave your recommendations for me if you have them. I feel like it's more prevalent in historicals that I've read than contemporaries, so I'm gonna get to this trope though, and I'm excited to share a bunch of genres with you that use it. The first one I have is Bad Saint by Monica James. I was obsessed with this series, I think like 2 years ago, and I haven't really talked about it recently. So if you're new to my channel and you haven't heard me talk about this one is a captor-captive romance. Our heroine is kidnapped on her wedding night, or like right before she's supposed to get married, and the guy that kidnaps her is working for someone, and he's working for him for a reason. He doesn't want to kidnap her, but he does, and the kidnapper and the girl end up falling for each other. It is a trilogy, so we have to read all 3 books in order to get their happily ever after, but it is so good. It's definitely a dark romance. Obviously she's kidnapped. He has to kidnap her, but then he's trying to like kind of save her from the other people that he's working with because he doesn't want to treat her poorly. So it's really, really good. He has that kind of moral dilemma going on, but he's working for these bad guys for a specific reason. They definitely were not supposed to fall in love with each other. Like, she's falling for the person who kidnapped her, and he's not supposed to fall for her because he needs to get this specific thing figured out is the reason why he's working for these bad guys. I don't want to spoil anything, but this one definitely falls under this trope. The next one is Mr. Bodyguard by Lauren Rowe. This one is really like the hero was adamant that he was not going to fall in love with the heroine. She is a famous pop star and he is her new bodyguard. He is someone who falls like head over heels in love very quickly, and so his friends are like, you are totally going to fall in love with this girl. Like, there's no way you're going to be around her 24/7 and not fall hard, and they bet him that he will fall in love and he bets that he won't, and he does. And it's really cute how they become friends first and they start texting each other, and she really wants to become his friend, and then they slowly fall for each other. Obviously they have to spend a lot of time together because he is the bodyguard, but this one, I think it was Xander, he just really is like, I'm not gonna fall in love. I promise you it will not happen, and it does. He was trying adamantly not to fall in love with her, and they did. So it was really fun. It was really cute. I love this series. I actually read this book first though, even though it's book like 4 or 5 in the series. It can definitely be read out of order. I jumped around so much. It's a fun series. Check this book out. Then another kind of bodyguard romance is The Duchess of Day by Charis Michaels. This one, our hero is hired to make sure our heroine marries the Duke. So she doesn't want to marry this Duke. She's tried to get out of it multiple times, and so our hero is kind of blackmailed into it. He has to make sure she marries the Duke so that something can happen for him. So it's kind of similar to this book where he really doesn't want to fall for her and he really doesn't want to do the job, but he has to in order to do something that will benefit him. And so he's helping her track down these women that she thinks will make the Duke a good bride, and that's why it's A Duchess a Day. It's kind of a Snow White retelling because each of the duchesses that each of the women she goes to find to try to see if they're a good suit for the Duke kind of are like the 7 dwarfs from Snow White, and it's really cute. It's just a really fun historical romance, and he definitely doesn't want to fall for her because his main goal is to get her to marry someone else. But he falls for her, and then he has this moral dilemma of, oh my gosh, should I be with her? But I need to make sure she marries someone else to get this thing for me to happen, and I really enjoyed it. Definitely recommend if you want a historical. Then I have Born Darkly by Trisha Wolfe. This one I haven't talked about in a while either. I think I read it either last year or the year before. It's a serial killer psychologist romance. She's a psychologist for the court system, and so she is interviewing our serial killer to see if he's like fit and of mind in his court case, and they fall for each other. And it's definitely, we were not supposed to fall in love because opposite sides of the law. He knows how to play mind games. She is very intelligent though and knows when he's trying to play mind games, so she has to be really aware of what he's doing and saying to her, but they start falling for each other, and there are 2 books in the series. They're really short. I flew through these. I think each of them I read in a day. I really enjoy these series. If you want more of a forbidden, we're not supposed to fall for each other, you should really check out this series. Another old favorite of mine that I don't talk about too much is The Gravity of Us by Brittany C. Cherry. This one, our hero and heroine, it's another kind of forbidden romance, but that aspect is a spoiler, so I'm not going to tell you what it is, but our heroine ends up helping our hero take care of a child of his. She works at a flower shop and they kind of run into each other at a funeral when she's delivering flowers for it, and that's where the book starts, and they cannot be together. He is just a hot mess. He is very grumpy. He doesn't want anything to do with her, and he's trying to take care of this child by himself. She offers her assistance and helps him, and I cried in this book. It is so, so sad, and it's definitely she and he, they don't want to fall for each other, but it's the grump sunshine kind of trope. I adore this book. It's one of my favorite romances of all time. So emotional, and just 2 characters who are really bonding over raising this child and bonding over the emotional turmoil they both are going through and falling for each other on accident, and it's amazing. The next 2 are historical recommendations for they were trying to help someone date someone else or get married to someone else and fell for each other. So the first one is On the Way to the Wedding by Julia Quinn. This one is the last book in the Bridgerton series, and I think the last couple books are so underrated. Not a lot of people end up getting to books 7 and 8, and I love them. This one is Gregory's story, and Gregory's the youngest brother, and because he's seen all of his siblings get married, he's like, I want love. I want that. I need it. I'm not scared of it like his annoying brothers are terrified of love. But in this one, he sees Lucinda and he was like, that's my love. I'm gonna marry her. This is gonna happen. And so he approaches Lucinda's best friend Hermione and he's like, you need to help me get Lucinda because I'm in love with her. And Hermione is like, no, like Lucinda's kind of a hot mess. She is like kind of in love with someone else and like she doesn't know what she wants. And so Hermione's like, okay, fine, I'll help you, and they fall for each other instead. It's amazing. We do get a scene in the beginning where Gregory is interrupting a wedding because his loved one is getting married and you don't know who it is. Is it Lucinda? Is it Hermione? I don't know. And then we flash back to him trying to win Lucinda over while he falls in love with Hermione in the process. It is so, so good. Really angsty too, and I really like that because Hermione can't be with him for a specific reason. And I really enjoy this one. Another favorite where they are trying to get them to marry someone else, this is actually they're both trying to help each other find someone, is If the Duke Demands by Anna Harrington. I talk about this historical all the time. It's one of my favorites, but in this one, she is in love with his brother, and he's the Duke, and he inherited the title because his father died, and he feels like he was a not good enough person when his father was living. He blames himself when his father died, and so he's like, I need to be a Duke. I need to take myself seriously. I need to find a Duchess, and she is trying to seduce his brother. So she sneaks into his room and waits for him, and the Duke shows up, not knowing who she is, and she thinks it's the brother, so they start like, you know, and then realize, oh my god, this is you, what's happening, before anything goes too far. And they realize what's happening, and she says, well, I'm in love with your brother, and he's like, what? And so they end up striking up a deal where she will help him find a Duchess that's perfect for him, and he will help her win over his brother. They fall in love with each other instead, but it's really cute how they're trying to set each other up with other people and then, without meaning to, fall for one another. Like, that is just such a good trope, and I wish more people did it. I love this one. Like I said, one of my favorite historicals of all time. She is of lower class, so it's a social class difference. She feels like she's not good enough for him. He feels like it's his duty to his family to have someone of high standing who would make a great Duchess. So much drama. I loved it. Then we have Focus by Carla Sorensen. In this one, it's actually forbidden, and our hero is very adamant that he is never going to fall in love with our heroine. They have a past, so he grew up by her, and when he was in college, I believe, and she was still in high school, she tried to seduce him, and they got caught, and they were horrified. He moved away. She moved on with her life, and so now she works for her brother's football team. Her brother's a coach of this NFL football team. She gets a new job with a new boss that says she needs to work on this documentary. It's a huge deal following one of their new players, and she adds in a non-fraternization clause because she doesn't want anything to ruin this documentary. So her heroine's like, cool, great, I'll do it. The new Player is the guy that she had that embarrassing moment with in the past, and she is horrified that it's him. He has been taking football very seriously to the point where he is like a machine. He lives and breathes football. He has no life outside of football. He is just, I have a goal and I'm gonna achieve it. And so she ends up having to break him out of his shell for the documentary, and they fall for each other, and he was so adamant. He's like, I am not gonna let anything distract me, and she was like, I can't let anything ruin this job chance I have to prove myself. But they fall for each other, and it was so good. I love book 1 in the series, and then I jumped straight to book 4 because that was the one I was most excited for, and that's probably a favorite of the year. In my top 10, I love that one so much, so check out the series, but this first book definitely falls under that category. And the last one I have is Always and Forever by Beverly Jenkins. This one is a great historical because it has to do with mail order brides. Our heroine was contacted by her cousin saying he needed wives for people in his town, and so she rounds up some ladies and was like, let's go, but they need to be accompanied by a man. They can't just be like women traveling alone. They don't want to take the trains because of discrimination, and so they are in need of a like wagon master, and so she is in a bind because her previous one ends up dying, and so she tracks down this guy. Their meet cute's hilarious. They clash immediately. They just do not get along, and he agrees to take them, so they travel together and they fall in love in the process, and it's great because they hate each other so much, and they have separate goals. So he wants to move on to a different city. She wants to go back to, I think, Chicago is where they were, and I think he wants to go down to Texas, and so they really don't have futures that are even close to what each other wants, but they end up falling for each other anyways, and I just really enjoy this story. One of my favorites from Beverly Jenkins, definitely unique historical. I would recommend checking out. And those are my recommendations for We Weren't Supposed to Fall in Love, but we accidentally did. I love this trope. Let me know if you have any other recommendations for this trope. I would love to hear. As always, thank you so much for watching and have a good day. Bye.